My mother passed away, and you're going to tell me how many days I need to take off? I'm going to take off as many as I need to.
Have you ever looked at your life and wondered, what if I'm meant for more than this? What if the relationship no longer fits? The career no longer fulfills? And the version of you you've been holding on to is ready to be released.
This is the Reinvention Stories After 40 podcast.
Where women find the courage to rise, rebuild, and reinvent life on their terms.
Real women, real struggles, real transformations.
And now, here's your host, Lorna Blake.
Welcome to the show. My very special guest today is Miriam Davenport, also known as the Exit Queen. In her 50s, Miriam walked away from a stagnant relationship, left behind a draining corporate career, moved to Spain, and completely revamped her life. Today, she helps women over 50 leave behind what no longer serves them and step into freedom, confidence, and purpose. Miriam, it's so great to have you. Thanks for making the time to be here today.
Lorna, thank you so much for having me here and for me having this platform to spread this message of what I call my podcast, Sis, We Outta Here.
Yeah, I love it. I love your fire. I want to jump right in and ask you, what did your life look like before your most recent reinvention?
My life looked like exhaustion
Mm,
every single day. I was burnt out. I was working 12-hour days, and I was in a long-term relationship that was pretty much going nowhere. And I kept hoping for the best instead of just following what I already knew to be the answer. And I just, I was really burnt out and I knew something needed to change, but I didn't know how to get there. I
mm,
felt like I was just staying in it because this is what's comfortable. This is what I knew, and I normalized it.
mm. Wow. Wow, Miriam, I know that I can relate to a lot of what you're saying, and I can imagine that there are so many others who can definitely relate to that. Staying because it's comfortable and because, we can just get by. And whether it's the relationship or it's the relationship and the career, we just do it and then we're burnt out, exhausted, and nothing works and we wonder why.
Yeah.
Mm. So, what was that moment that made you say something has got to change?
It was a couple of things. The first one was at my job where they called me in for a meeting. It was the president or the owner of the company and the vice president. And every time I had taken a vacation that I was owed, they would always talk about, well, you're taking it at the absolute wrong time. This is the worst time for you to go. And I was so tired of hearing that. And so they called me in and sat me down and said, it doesn't seem like you're happy here. And we had some words before that because I said, wasn't I owed that vacation? And it was a new year. So every year starts the days that you're owed. And I didn't take it right away, like January 1st. I took it like 4 or 5 months in, and still it was the worst possible time. And they said, well, technically, you're supposed to be working like I think a few more months before you can actually take it or before you're supposed to get paid from it, something like that, some nonsense. So I was just tired of hearing it. And so hearing that, and they had already given me grief about taking bereavement days because my mother had passed away, and they were debating whether, well, how many days should she get? Should it be one or two? And I'm thinking, my mother passed away, and you're going to tell me how many days I need to take off? I'm going to take off as many as I need to.
Mm-mm.
And so that was one thing. But then the other thing with this vacation, I just, in that moment, I sat there in the office and it was as if time just stood still because I looked around and they were both looking at me, but it was like all in slow motion. And I heard God distinctly say to me, "It's time. Do
Wow.
it now." And I said, "You're right. I am no longer happy here. This is not where I need to be. And I'm leaving and I'm giving you my 2 weeks notice." And I had been there for a number of years. And
Wow.
there were people there who've been there for 10 years or more, even 20 years. Nobody ever leaves. They complain about the place every day, but they don't leave.
Mm.
And I said, "This is not going to be me. That's not going to be my story." And
Mm.
so I told them that, and everybody, of course, was shocked. And they were like, "Oh, but we really like working with you." And I'm like, "I like working with you too, but I am not going to have number one a cap on my pay. And nobody's going to keep telling me that I have to work this many hours to satisfy you versus me.
Yeah,
That's not the way life is supposed to be. This should be the other way around."
agree.
So I finally left. And after I left, some really key important people, like the vice president who had been there over 10 years and managed, he ran everything. Like, I don't even know how they survive now, but he left to fulfill his dream. And he had recently, we had had a discussion not too long before that. And I said, "Why are you still here?
Oh,
Because you're so talented and you have this dream. Why don't you go pursue your dream?" He said, "Oh, it's not time yet. I have kids in school and I don't want to disrupt their lives." I said, "They will be okay."
oh.
And before I knew it, after I left, about 2 weeks later, he called me up and said, "I left too."
Oh my God, you inspired the vice
Yeah,
president.
yeah, yeah.
Look at
And he's so
you.
happy now. He's so happy.
Oh
He's
my
living his
goodness.
life. Yeah,
You know, what you're speaking to is how we get signs and, even in grief, it's like the grief prompted you to take action because it's so incredibly unfair. I've never understood that about American culture, work culture. Somebody dies and you get 1 day
I know. It's crazy.
or two
It's crazy.
days. Like, what is that? It's
Yeah,
just so inhumane and
I know.
doesn't make any sense.
I know.
So you also mentioned, Miriam, that somebody had said you'll never leave.
Mm-hmm.
What shifted inside you in that moment? You want to take us back to that?
Sure. So that was the second thing that happened. So I knew I left the job, but then I was still in this relationship. So that was draining me tremendously. And I was putting up with a lot, just hoping for the best, hoping that the representative would come back. And it just didn't happen. And so it was like another time of disrespect showed up. And I said to myself, "You know what? Why am I putting up with this?" And then he said to me, "Oh, you'll never leave." And it wasn't like a threat or anything like that. He just made a comment, "You'll never leave." And in that moment, I wasn't angry. I just looked at myself inwardly and I said, "He's actually describing me. He's not like telling me, he's describing me. And I don't want to be described as somebody who is so loyal to a fault that they're going to put up with anything, even if it's draining them." And so I said, "Okay." I didn't say anything else to him. I turned away, went to the other room, but I started making my plans in that moment. Like,
Oh,
I'm out of here.
oh my God. I can
Mhm.
so relate to that. I mean, I haven't shared that on any platform, but yeah, I had a situation, a marriage, where I
Mhm.
was that girl who was just so loyal that I
Yeah,
had been putting up with all kinds of crap for years.
yeah.
And I got that same sense of, well, you're never gonna leave.
Hmm.
And I didn't make any kind of ruckus about it. I was just mental note to self. You gotta
Right.
start making a plan. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep, you keep it all
So
in here and you do what you need to do.
just like that. And
Mhm.
so that was the end of that. So Miriam, tell us, what fears or challenges did you actually have to overcome to step into this new chapter? Because you were going through a lot there.
Yeah, I was going through a lot. And so, what I really had to do was to tune inwardly and completely lean on God and ask, what is it that you want me to do? Where do you want me to go? How do you want me to be, even? Because he's my creator and he knows me more than better than anybody else. And for too long, I had always asked and asked other people, what do you think I should do? Or, what do you think is best? What's your opinion? They don't know me better than I know me.
Truth.
And they certainly don't know me better than God knows me. So
Truth.
I stopped asking all of the noise. I tuned all of that out and went inward. And that's when I started revisiting dreams that I had had about moving to foreign lands, someplace where they were speaking another language.
Wow.
And it didn't happen overnight. It happened with a Google search. Like, okay, well, what other places are there? Where else would I like to go? And then that led to maybe a conversation with somebody. And a lot of times we stay stuck because we normalize it, number one, but we're also so used to being in a state of what we call fear
Yeah.
because of whether it's money, whether it's, we don't want to leave because of the kids or something,
Yeah.
but we can never change something unless we change first, or else it's always going to stay the same. And I say that to, women who feel like they're like stuck. If you have any kind of inkling inside that you want to do something differently, that's your sign to move to another, to do something different,
Agree.
because nothing's going to change, like I say, unless you do. So you have to step forward into something else because you call it fear, but it's not fear.
Yeah.
Because fear is when there's a threat against your life.
Mm.
That's other, if it's not fear, it's anxiety. And
Mm.
that's your mind playing tricks on you or
True.
trying to protect you.
Yeah.
That's science. And our brains are supposed to do that. That's neuroplasticity. So if
Yeah.
your brain is trying to do that, that means that you have to control your brain because that's
Yeah.
what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to control our brains.
Yeah.
We're in charge, not our brains, not the other way around. So when you do that, then you can start stretching those synapses. You start stretching everything to just do one step at a time to
Mm.
move yourself forward. And
Mm.
that's how you get out of it. And that's what I did. One Google search at a time, one conversation at a time.
Yeah, I love how you've just broken that down for us in terms of fear versus anxiety, and also the notion of being able to get out of the norm, the comfort zone, right? Because a lot of us, we live in our comfort zone, and the comfort zone is the same language, the same country, the same city, the same little community. And we don't think that, just like you did, a Google search could help us or talk to somebody. Sometimes we don't know and we're afraid
Mhm.
that, well, nobody else knows. But if you could just find somebody who is where you want to be, or even ask, as you say, reach inward and talk to God and
Mhm.
find out what lights me up and where do I want to be and
Yeah,
what would that be like, and find somebody who is there where you want to go. Actually,
that's
that's
right.
how I ended up in South Korea some years back.
See, there's
And
always
it,
somebody who's done it already.
yeah,
From
that completely overrides all the anxiety and the fear, because if you can find somebody who's doing what you've done, it means it's possible, or doing what you want to do, it means it's possible for you to do it. So I love where this is going. And how did you begin to trust yourself again? I think that's a key piece, because you talk about, looking outward and talking to people around you, but not actually going within as much. So how did you begin that process to start trusting yourself, to listen to yourself and to God?
it happened one step at a time, but it also those signs that when I heard God speak to me about leaving the job, and then it felt right. My whole nervous system calmed down. I had no more anxiety regarding that anymore. From day to day, from Sunday night to Sunday night, it was anxiety about going to work Monday morning,
Yeah.
and all of that was relieved.
Mm.
About the relationship, it was like something I didn't have to put up with anymore. And so
Yeah.
I knew, because I made those decisions, those anxieties went away. And my brain stopped trying to go into panic mode and just
Mm.
syndrome to protect me. So I knew that, okay, something's there's something about that, of me listening to myself and making the decision.
Yeah.
Even when I got here to Spain, it wasn't all smooth sailing. I mean, there were things that happened. One week, my sink blew up. And I mean, it literally blew up. The whole faucet came off,
Oh my.
water was shooting up in the air.
Oh my
And
God.
I was like, yeah. And the first thing I thought of was like, wow, like I don't have anybody to call. I'm not in a relationship where the man can
Yeah.
fix it.
Yeah.
Like I don't know anybody here. I don't even know my neighbors yet. Who am I going to call? And then in that moment, I calmed down and I was like, wait a minute. You know how to fix things. You've helped build houses before. You can do construction. You can fix this yourself. And so
Wow.
I took all the pieces and I went to the store. Like, I turned the water off. I went to the store, got all the parts I needed, and I fixed that thing myself.
Oh my
You know,
God, you're a boss.
in those moments, when you tune in, you can figure it out no matter what it is. And that's
Oh,
how I started relying on myself. When things you have to know that no matter what happens, something is going to come to disrupt the the smoothness that's occurring. Whatever,
mm.
if it's going with the flow and you decide, oh, I'm going to this exciting place, it's great, it's perfect. Nothing is
Mm.
perfect.
Yeah.
Some kind of distraction, disruption is going to come, and you have to know that, so that when
Yeah.
it does come up, you can just laugh at it. You can just laugh at
Agreed.
it and say, okay,
I see
already,
you.
I've been there before, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Mhm.
love that. And it helps, what you're stating is very helpful for people who haven't yet made the move and maybe considering it, to recognize that stuff does happen. That's life.
Mhm.
It's about what you do with what happens, because you could have just used that as, oh my God, that's a sign for me to not be here. And then
That part.
yeah,
And that's something I used to do. I mean, I have started businesses before.
yeah,
And when it doesn't go as planned, I'm quick to abandon it,
yeah,
because I'm like, oh, this is not working out. That means there's no there's nothing telling me that I should keep going with this because I don't see any progress.
yeah,
But that's not how it works.
agreed.
So you have to just keep going. It's going to
Agreed.
work eventually, because
Yeah,
if it doesn't work and you see the success from the actual business, you've learned a lot in the process
there
for
it
your next
is.
venture.
Agree. I love
Mhm.
that. All right. And so, what does life look like for you now, Miriam? How has it changed?
Now it looks like beautiful sunny days in Spain.
Oh,
I have traveled to 6 different countries in the last year.
wow.
And I am just enjoying life, working from my laptop, meeting people, having conversations. It's just been amazing. And had I not made that decision, I don't know if I'd be stuck in the same situation or what, but I am just really loving life now, and having better relationship even with my kids now, because we were always close, but now it's more intentional, much more
Okay.
intentional when we do talk. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, I know you're in that time zone, I'm in this time zone. Let's talk about something. We really want to connect. Now, it's not like before when I was just driving my kid around and, as a taxi service mom, that kind
Yeah.
of thing. But now it's intentional, and it's great. I love
Oh,
it. My daughter's going to be here in another week, actually.
oh, wow. That's
Yeah.
wonderful. I love to hear that. And what does freedom mean to you now compared to before?
Freedom now means having the time and the time to do what I want to do in life, and mostly to serve who I want to serve. I enjoyed that job actually because I was serving and I was helping people, I was teaching people, and I really enjoyed it, but there was a cap on my pay. And that's how a boss should show their appreciation for their employee. And if you're not going to show me that I'm appreciated in that way, what else am I there for?
Yeah.
I'm not there to work for nothing. So, things like that started building up. So it wasn't just about the money because I
Mm.
already had taken a cut in pay to be of service.
Oh,
But now
wow.
I can be of service to the people that I want to serve, to the women in my age group who are feeling stuck. And that's who I want to help now because I want to light that fire under them to tell them you don't have to stay where you are. There's
Mm.
more to life. And if you have an inkling to go get it, then do so.
Love it. Love it. And I want to check in with you. I know that you have some practices that keep you grounded. What are some of your daily practices that help to keep you grounded?
Well, it was always the Bible, and my daughter bought me a new Bible for Christmas, and
Oh,
I was just so excited about it because the thought behind that to know that that's what mommy would really love. She would love a new Bible. So
that's
she
fun.
bought me a Bible, and I read that every day, and it just grounds me. And between that and just going out in nature, there's a lot of trails here. So I'm
Mm.
walking my dog all through nature and stuff. And so those are practices that I do. And I sit with myself, just looking out on the balcony and just thinking, about nothing, sometimes about something. It's just peaceful.
Awesome. Awesome. I love it. This is going really, really well. And I know that for those who are listening or watching, they're getting tremendous value from this. So, Miriam, what advice would you give to a woman who is over 40 or 50 who is thinking, oh, great for you, Miriam, but it wouldn't work for me. I'm too old and it's too late.
Well, like I always say, if you have the inkling to do something different, that is a signal that your body is sending you to do something different, to go, to have a conversation, to move, to take that first step or something.
Yeah,
And the beauty for us at our age group, like 40, 50, is that you're not starting like you in your 20s when you know nothing.
true.
In your 50s, you're not starting from scratch. You're starting from a great foundation where you already know so much.
Yeah,
So that reinvention is going to be so much more powerful for you.
yeah,
So, don't think that, oh, you don't know anything, you're afraid because you don't know anybody there or you've never done this before. You have, but not in that way. So you have to really pull from what you already know to
yeah,
reestablish yourself and
yeah,
talk to people about where it is. Once you decide what you want to do, then talk to people who've already done it. Don't
yeah,
talk to people about your decision because that will distract you.
true. I do like that. I love that you talk about, you know, not consulting with people about your decisions, especially because that it can really be confusing, right?
Yeah.
But
I'm sure
it's
people
just,
told you, what are you going to move to South Korea? That's crazy.
why are you going there? There's war
Mhm.
between the North and the South. Did you even know that? Are you
Yeah.
not afraid for your life? And so on and so on. It's always that. But if you had to give this chapter of your life a title, what would you title it?
Exit with fire, just
Oh
like my
my
channel.
God.
Yeah, because once you realize a thing that and your body's sending you the answer, that's the signal. That's the signal to make the change. So once you get that, pay attention to it, and it's telling you to exit immediately. Like Elvis left the building, you got to leave the building too.
I love it. Oh my God, Miriam, I really appreciate you. This has been just so amazing. And your story, your energy, your words of advice, your can-do attitude, they're so inspiring and so motivating. I really appreciate you coming on. And
Thank
I
you.
think there are women in my community who are watching and listening who are going to see themselves in parts of your story, like I did. And especially for women who know deep down that there's more for them. But, they've been settling and allowing stuff to really allowing themselves to get stuck in a rut. And so I believe that they'll be able to see that the version that they've outgrown of their lives, that they're being called to something more. So I want to thank you for reminding us that, hey, you can do it and you can overcome some of those fears and anxieties that plague us and move
Mhm.
from discomfort and into feeling more empowered to exit whatever no longer serves. So thank you again, Miriam. And to you watching, if today's conversation with Miriam spoke to your spirit, know that it is your sign for you and that endings aren't failings. Sometimes they're an invitation to rise, rebuild, and rediscover who you really are underneath the exhaustion, underneath the expectations, and survival mode. Thanks again for joining us. Share this with a sister who could use some fire, some motivation, some inspiration. And I will see you on the next one. Bye for now. Thank you,
Bye.
Miriam.
Thank you.